Hey everyone, so it is February 15th right now. We're just in our second day after the heavy storms we had. First big storm, I would say, for Southern California of this season. And let's kind of just go over, since we just had the storm, let's kind of just go over all the seedlings and how they're doing and everything. And I just recently gave an update on that, but just kind of show you guys another update on it. Maybe this will be a bit more detail in terms of all the various seedlings, whether they're potted or in ground. We'll just kind of go through it. So I think I showed you guys this maybe in the past. This is a bunch of Kent seedlings. So I mentioned before, like I kind of given up on the Kent seedlings. It's not one that I prefer as a rootstock. I find that half of them struggle, half of them do okay. They just don't do that well for me. They do grow rapidly the first, I would say they do grow rapidly the first year or so, but then after that, they just seem to really slow down and doesn't seem to really like at least my area. So for all you other guys, I don't want to deter you guys from experimenting it with Kent seedlings, but it's not my preferred rootstock. My preferred rootstocks to be used is the Autopa rootstocks and the Laverne Everdode, Laverne / now Everdode Manila rootstocks. So that's what I recommend. So this is me just kind of I didn't have much hope for this, so I just kind of put them all in a pot. I didn't separate them, so I just put them all in ground. So you see this kind of huge bush-like area right here. It's probably like maybe 3, 6, at least 6 to 8 really 6 to 8 rootstocks on here, and they got the rootstocks sticking up quite well, sticking up really well, but they still seem to struggle quite a bit, like and I don't know if that's because I have them all bunched together like that, but even my Autophas, they don't kind of show the same kind of struggling symptoms when they're all bunched together like this. So that's why I didn't separate them. I just put them in because I didn't expect them to really survive. And the ones that do survive, great. Maybe they end up producing some kind of decent classic tasting fruit. So that's why I have it like this. But they've been yellowing. They've been kind of like haven't liked my late summers, haven't really liked my winters, so they're not looking that great, but I think they'll be okay, and we'll see. Like I'm gonna just leave it like this. Whatever makes it, and whatever doesn't. We'll see what happens. I mean, out of all this, eventually something will produce, and if they don't live, the other ones will. So that's my Kent rootstock. That's why I'm not really growing out Kents anymore. This was my last round of Kents, and again, I don't know if it's struggling because there's just so many of them together, and if that's not helping. But I would think like a bunch of them bunched up together would kind of be able to handle the sun and winter better. But it's really quite yellow. Don't seem to like a lot of things. So that's one of the bunches of Kent rootstock. The other one is this one right here. This one's a little bit more in the shaded area. Again, probably like about 3 to 6 chunks on here. And again, they just seem to kind of struggle a bit. After the first year, they kind of just slow down. And oh, this one has a bloom. So check this out. This is a Kent rootstock. I would say this rootstock's about 3 years old, 3 to 4 years old, something like that. Might be like 3.5. So that kind of shows you guys, like the question about whether polyembryonic mangoes flower quicker, and does that apply to monoembryonic mangoes? And here's an example of a monoembryonic mango that's flowering in like 3.5 years. So that's what California winters does to a lot of our mango seedlings. That's why you and what it does to a lot of mature grafts. So that's why lots of folks are experimenting with seedlings right now to try to get as much vegetative growth they can before the tree starts blooming. So this account again don't look that good, you know. They just seem to struggle even when they were in pots, you know. And let's see, I'm gonna just leave it here, and again, if it produces something great. If some of the rootstock die off, that's fine. The ones that survive, hopefully they do better. But there you go. Here's some of my Autopa rootstocks, which I just kind of, I mentioned to a lot of folks there's just one that I really do recommend. You know, they're slower to take off like Kent, but again, they just look really good all year round. You know, they grow like at a steady pace. They're not as vigorous as a Kent in the first year or so, but afterwards just kind of steadily grow, and they don't seem to be affected by the summers. They don't seem to be affected by the winters, and they just do well. I have my older ones where I showed you guys, and that's growing in pretty much clay, which is really tough, especially on mangoes, and it's done well. Here's how it looks like, and these guys in the pots, I think they're about let me see, I started this, so this is about 2 years now on this. Yeah, about 2 years now, or like a year and a half or 2 years. So eventually I'm gonna probably separate out some more this spring, summer. There's some more of these. And some more of these, because of these pots, they're about going into finishing off like a year and a half, 2 years. So, and here's some ones where I separated out last year. A little bit thicker trunk right here. A little bit thicker trunk. So these I'll be using to graft over this year. I have like about half a dozen of those. I gave some away. I still have some more, and there'll be some of the first round of experimental grafts I'll be doing with them, which is going to be taking these rootstocks and an example with this is an Autopa rootstock. It hasn't bloomed yet, and I'll be grafting it with a sweet tart scion of a seedling that I have identified as the true clone of it, and I will graft that onto this Autopa and see what happens, see how long that takes to eventually bloom, see how long that works. But maybe that might be the future of my grafting experiments, is grafting immature scions where you get a few, maybe several years of vegetative growth, and that lets the tree size up before it flowers. So that might be eventually my kind of method, a way of just propagating certain varieties, and that will only work for polyembryonic variety, but that's probably the way to go. I'll be experimenting with a bit of that, and then I'll be giving some of those trees away to friends and families that's not really like and also for family that's not really won't be like pampering a grafted flowering tree. So, they just want something like to put in the ground and let it take off, and then eventually fruit. Okay, there's some more seedlings. A lot of seedlings I had here it's mostly been cogshaw. I had eaten a lot of cogshaw fruit 2 years ago, so that was in 2023, so I still have quite a bit of it, but the cogshaw, I'm not really too interested in them. I will eventually take some of the scions from this and graft down to mature trees, but I'm not expecting anything too interesting to come out of the cogshaw seedling. They're just classic kind of tasting flavor. So everything's survived the winter. Everything's doing pretty well. And after this rain, some stuff is beginning to perk up a little bit, developing more of the green. It's a little bit yellow. And again, like, I have no root rot issues. I water my plants quite well. The outdoor I water quite well. I water, so I would say frequently and heavily. I don't have no issues, just because I let people know that when you have the right amount, the right soil, you shouldn't have that kind of issue. So you're using like inert material. We're talking about peat moss. We're talking about sand and mineral and decomposed granite, for example, pumice, perlite. You shouldn't have an issue with root rot. You might still do, especially if you're dealing with some of the more sensitive Florida rootstocks. But for the most part, even my Florida rootstocks trees haven't had anything that has kind of rotted yet. But with those I usually run into issues in spring when it kind of catches some sort of fungal root issues. But in terms of watering, I water frequently. So here's an in-ground seedling experiment. This one's Saint Alone guava. Right here, it's growing really nicely, nice and green. Let's see what comes of that. There's some more of my Autopa that I'm planning to graft over this spring. There's like more cogstar right here. See, I think I have a sweet tart seedling somewhere in the ground here. Yeah, this is sweet tart. Yeah, actually, this is lemon zest. So this is lemon zest. It's like 2 good-sized trunks on here. I don't know if it shows. Okay. Yeah, 2 good-sized trunks, but 3rd smaller one. Lemon zest right here. See, a lot more seedlings here. This is the only one that I lost as a casualty this year. And I think I mentioned it to people. The reason why this died, it wasn't like the watering, it wasn't the cold. Well, maybe a combination of cold, because it fell over. So this fell over just for one night, and I knew I might have issues because it fell over for one night. So it was on the side. Found in the morning, picked it back up. I was like, oh, hopefully it's okay. But after a couple of days, I started noticing it goes downhill, and that's just because the yard is a little bit cooler, especially on the lower ground, lower parts of the yard. So when it's just lying there directly on the soil, it must be a lot more colder, and it just got damaged. So it's looked like it's I don't think it's gonna make it. Maybe it might sprout something from below the soil, but the top, everything's kind of pretty much dead. And that's again because it fell over. And this just every other yard, I mentioned that it's lower and it kind of collects frost. At least that happens for once a year for about a week, and that already passed for me, so I don't think I'm going to see it again. But we still have like a month or more of winter, so see what happens. Okay, here's another Autopa. This one's looking really nice. Here's a Sun Paris seedling. This one's just all around kind of funky shaped. I got this from my friend. So I've been trying to shape it back into more like a central leader kind of shape. Here's a few more Autopa seedlings. Nice trunk size. Gonna get top work. Okay, and now we're kind of probably gonna get into some more interesting variety. Here's my only cac mango right here. Cac seedling, I mean. I have some dwarf Hawaiian right here. Let's see. A few little gem. Some more guava, Saint Alone seedlings. What else is here? Here's some ones in the ground. This one is, I don't remember which this one is. No, this is another lemon zest. here. What is that? Only 2 trunks. Well, 2 trunks and a tiny one right here. So, lemon zest. And these lemon zest ones I have in the ground, it's the ones that my guess is the tallest, most biggest one is the pollinated embryo, and the other ones are the clones. But from my experiments with crushing the leaves, it's the ones where I just simply couldn't tell. Like, I couldn't tell which one for certainty is or not. So I'm not going to really make an assumption or anything like that in terms of like taking scions of it and grafting. But I want to eventually see what it does do once it grows out. Yeah, so here's a peach cobbler seedling right here. I think this one's a lemon zest seedling. And then sometimes I get this weird funky kind of growth pattern when the seeds sprout out. When they sprout out, they kind of tend to like they have a struggle a bit. They tend to kind of like weave around. So this is one that's like that. I don't know if it's eventually going to survive, but let's see. This is a lemon zest seedling. Okay, let's kind of get into more of them. Let's see. I got some. I have to look at the tags on this. Oh, this is a draw for wine. PPK. There's some Angie seedling. So, and here's one in ground that is a sweet tart seedling. Sweet tart seedling. There it goes. Sweet tart seedling. And again, like some of these I put in ground, I could not tell which one is the clone and which one isn't. If I was to guess on this, which is just a pure guess, because I can't distinguish it from leaf, is that I would say this one might be the pollinated one, just because the leaves on this has been very long, very elongated, very pointy, and very flat. You know, some of the lemon zest seems to be more like, you know, the middle kind of cups in, if that makes sense. So let's see. I don't know. Not really too sure. Okay, moving on. Here's a PPK seedling. Another PPK seedling. Lost my PPK. They are polyembryonic, but they usually end up just sprouting like one stem. So there's a guava, Saint Alone. Let's see, here's one in the ground. Let me look at what this is. Oh, okay. Hopefully this video helps me track what I have in the ground in case I eventually lose the lose the tags on it and everything. So this one's honeykiss, which is doing okay. I have honeykiss is supposed to be a dwarf growing variety, and it is. I have grafted one in the past, and it just would not grow. It's just so slow growing. And I have tons of honeykiss seedlings, and they do grow slow, but they exhibit like kind of like a steady growth, even though they grow slow, like slower than the rest. They just kind of go at this steady pace. So this one's, I'm not sure which one's a clone and which one's not. The only thing that seems to mark any difference, again, I can't tell from these, but this one seems to have a yellow midribs, and this one seems to have a more redder mid leaves, or like an orange when it gets older. So, let's see what happens with it. Okay, so some lemon zest seedlings here. And here's a few Malika's seedlings. Here's a cotton candy. And here's another guava Saint Alone. But this one's been pretty vigorous. Very huge leaves. Let me try to get to the trunk. I think there's like 4 or 5 of these guys in here. look at this insane kind of trunk. Don't know if you guys could catch that. It's like everything. And again, I'm just leaving it. You know, I'm not going to be trying to separate any of this stuff. It's just a big experiment to see what happens with it. You know, so this is the Saint-Alone. This is guava, and some of these are more the grafted plants. Oh, let me go back. This is so I got these two right here. Is a Bombay seedling. One right here. One right here. It's a Bombay seedling. Unfortunately, these two, I don't get a strong get strong terpenes, but just not like that Alfonso-like smell that I like. So, but this one right here, I have loved the smell on this. It's kind of like that Alfonso spice smell. So this one, I will be putting this in the ground this year. So this is also a Bombay seedling. And then let's see what else I got here. So what's in the ground here is the sweet tart seedling. There's like 3 trunks on this thing. One of the, I know these two are the clones. Kind of see like this leaf, curvy leaf and stuff. It's like the clone, along with this one being the clone. This one's the non-clone. This one's a pollinated one. And why I know that for sure is because this one has a non-sweet tart kind of acid smell. You know, I don't know how to describe sweet tart clearly, but sweet tart has this kind of acidic tart smell to the leaves. It's not citrus, but it's acidic and tart. And this one doesn't have it. The smell is just like a classic Florida mango, you know, something that is one of the old Kent or Glens. It just smells like one of those. So that one's definitely this one's definitely the pollinated seedling. Okay, here's some more sweet tart seedlings right here. Let's see what we got here. Oh, this one's an Iman Passan, grown from a California grown Iman Passan. It's growing really nicely. It's been here in like a year, so hopefully another year or two I could kind of put them in the ground or take some scions off it. This one's in the ground right here. It is an Autopa seedling, growing nice and vigorously. I was eventually, I had this ice cream right here that is on a Kent rootstock that's just not doing well. Ice cream just for me struggles on everything. Doesn't matter if it's a Kent rootstock or a Autopa rootstock or vanilla. They just kind of struggle. So I was thinking I was going to approach graft this into it and give an additional second rootstock, and I didn't want to dig it out, but I think I'm gonna just leave it alone. It's like just the ice cream is just kind of like a fail experiment for me, so I'm not gonna try to save it or anything. But this I'm gonna use. This is Autopa. I'm gonna graft a seedling scion onto this as an experiment because I like the Autopa rootstock, but I don't kind of do not prefer the fruits. It's not to me it's not a good green eating mango, and a really good, if you grow it, you get a really good tasting sweet mango. It's pretty much on par with what you get at this grocery store. So I'm gonna be probably grafting something onto here for like a seedling scion. So we're gonna do something different. Okay, right next to it again, this one's a honey kiss, but this is a very vigorous honey kiss. So I think this right here is the pollinated seedling. There's another trunk right here, a little bit smaller, but look at this. This one's huge. I think after this year it's going to be even taller. So we'll see what happens. In the back there's some more sweet tart seedlings. I could tell you right here. This one I'm holding right here. This one's the pollinated non-clone. I forgot the taste on the smell on some of this. I have to kind of go back, but I recall 2 of them had a Indian smell to it, Indian terpenes, and one of them actually had a nice kind of citrus smell to it. So I'm going to show you 3 pots of these. So sweet tart seedling. Here's the other sweet tart seedling. And I would tell you right now, this one right here is the non-clone. Yep, this one's right here is the non-clone. Again, I had to kind of go back and test the leaf again, but I know that 2 was Indian smelling and 1 was very citrus smelling. So here's another sweet tart. It's my 3rd one. These are the ones I identified. I kind of kept them to the side, kept them in a pot because I didn't want to risk losing them at all for NK. I'll tell you right now which one's the pollinated one. This one right here is the pollinated one. Right here. So you can see these are all the rest of the clones. And again, sweet tart kind of has this kind of really nice kind of like the the middle kind of bends upward like this kind of cup in it. That kind of reminds me a bit of like how Kent leaves are too, so okay, let's see, moving on. Here's a bunch of little honeykiss seedlings right here. Again, like they grow at a steady pace because they were like one of the smallest, but they just kind of keep on going at a steady pace. Let's see, what is this one? Here, it's another honeykiss one. So it looks like I had all my honeykiss kind of grouped together, so let's see what I got here. I think these might be some lemon zest this is some Autopas and Autopas I have. Or some of my California mint seedlings. Let's see. These are some Mahas, very slow growing. Maha has been one of the slowest growing seedlings I have gotten on them. They're just like these tiny dime size or nickel size embryos that just ends up being very slow growing. Here's another sweet tart. Another sweet tart. So I had a few sweet tart, but just came out with 1. So instead of multiple trunks, so it's probably just 1 embryo. So most likely that's a pollinated one, So let's see what else. Oh, here's the lemon zest. So I got 3 lemon zest that I have uniquely identified with very strong Indian spice. Here's one of it. It's a clone, and this is the one where you see me graft the seedling scions onto one tree. So I had one of the manila trees where I have all 3 of this this new hybrid grafted onto it. You see what happens to it. There's another one. So this again, this one's the same thing. But this tallest one is the pollinated embryo seedling, not non-clone. Same thing with this. So this one is actually the second smallest one. It's actually the pollinated seedling. Here's the other one next to it. This is the clone. So I already began grafting this onto my other rootstock. So I have at least backup of this already. I really like the strong Indian spice of it. Let me just kind of walk you to my plant. It's not too far away. And I've shown it before. This is on a Laverne Manila rootstock. And here is the seedlings of it. So I'm showing you the ones with this is Indian spice right here. Indian spice smelling. This one's a classic smelling. But these are 4 different seedlings of lemon zest. The non-clone seedlings of lemon zest. Okay. So that's my backup in case of anything dies. I do love that strong, Indian Alfonso spice, and it seems to have it. Okay, kind of moving on. Let's see. Here's my best growing Maha right here. Let me just move all this along. It's just this one kind of little tree, but it's been my best growing Maha seedling. There's a variegated seedling maha. See what happens with that. And then in the ground, I think this is a cotton candy. Let me double check. I don't know what this. Yep, this is a cotton candy. So I have this in ground, like 2 trunks off of this. And it's a cotton candy seedling. Okay. I just keep on going. Oh, here's a nice seedling of something. Yeah, this is definitely a seedling. It's one of the Florida trees I had gotten several years ago. It just never grew. The graft finally died. Well, it did grow, but it just died that first year, unfortunately. So it sprouted from the trunk. I don't know what it is in terms of the seed. It could be just like some kind of turpentine, but maybe some kind of cross of it. I've had a difficult time determining it from the leaves, because some days I smell the leaves, it doesn't smell like anything, and some days I smell the leaves, it has a strong citrus smell. So it's doing really well. Let's see, in here I got an M4 in the ground on the left right here. This M4, 2 trunks. One's a clone, one's my nut, and a tiny little trunk. And on the right, I have a coconut cream. Coconut cream has not been a good seedling grower. It's been kind of struggling, all the seeds I have with it. So coconut cream right here, 2 trunks. Let's see. That kind of covers these seedlings. Let's see. Here's another coconut cream. I just planted it right next to one of my Laverne manillas. One of my Laverne manillas that's like kind of struggled, partially due to what I did to it. But I'm hoping this kind of takes off. We'll see what happens with it. Here's some more seedlings. So this is a sweet tart seedling, 3 trunks. I think I might put this in the ground this year again, but it's one of those I cannot identify which one with 100% certainty is the clone versus the pollinated seed. So here's a guava Saint Talone. Here's some new seedlings I started out, but you know, it's winter, so they kind of struggle a bit, slow to get going, slow to actually push out and stuff. So this one's like the California Remit, you know, the one that I showed you guys, kind of like my house variety I've been kind of growing for some time, and it's doing really well. You know, it's doing surprisingly growing really well in winter. You know, it's still pushing out leaves and stuff like that. And I got some taupe and tiny seedlings from my friend Renee. I got some of my own Laverne manila seedlings that's going on. And then I have some stuff I ate, you know, like a carry from my tree and Angie and stuff that I put in here, but most of them don't seem to be doing that good or even have sprouted, you know. So here's a lemon zest, another honey kiss, another lemon zest, guava Saint Talone, honey kiss. This one looking pretty nice. Pina colada. Started this pretty late this year, so hopefully we'll see how it does. But there's like 4 or 5 trunks, tiny trunks, but 4 or 5 trunks, and then another coconut cream. So that covers most of the seedlings. I mean, this is my big kind of experiment. You could call it like even like a breeding experiment, because most of this, all this is going to be kind of used as scions to graft onto mature trees and so forth, and see what kind of fruit it produce. See if I get stuff that is a bit more disease resistant, stuff that kind of, you know, will just overall do much more and better in California. Really looking just for stuff that's very, along with taste, you know, want some very vigorous variety, very disease resistance, just because lots of the varieties that come out of Florida, I think they're more catered to like being slower growing, less vigor for the tropical climate. But in all area, California, we need very vigorous growing mangoes to really have a nice productive tree. So we'll see what comes out of all this. It's going to be a quite a few years, in terms of experimenting, and hopefully out of it there'll be some pretty nice tasting fruits and results, and just learning more about mangoes, or mangoes and the varieties that I could share with you guys. All right, thanks.